All right, here we are. I am in my basement, and that light over there might turn off, but it's fine. I'll just turn it back on. And as you can see, today I'm presenting on, if it will load, come on, the spring race at Bristol Motor Speedway, which is, you get to hear all about it, and it's loading again. Great. Come on, come on now. Okay, there it is. All right, I'll go all in depth in this, as you will see. All right, let's go. All right, so before we start with this, we need to start with some background information. As you know, Bristol Motor Speedway is a track located in Bristol, Tennessee, not too far away from here. I know you've been there. For my research project, we must learn a little about the history of the two races that it holds per year. The spring race, which is usually held in March or April, and is traditionally a day race, and the night race, or the fall race, held in August, or it was held in August for a long time, but it was recently moved to late or mid-September in 2020, so that wasn't that long ago. It has been held as a night race since 1978, and the two races has been arranged like this for decades, but for this project, we will just be focusing on the spring race. For the longest time, Bristol was one of NASCAR's most popular tracks. 150,000 fans packed the stands twice a year to see the action-packed racing. For reference, the city of Bristol has a population of about 30,000, so that's 5 times Bristol's population in this one track here. That's a lot of people. And NFL stadiums usually have a capacity of about 60 to 70,000. So that's like double the amount of an NFL stadium. So that's a lot. You had to pre-order a ticket just like a year in advance just to be able to get a seat in this thing. It was crazy. Everyone wanted to go there. It was crazy. Unfortunately, you probably know that NASCAR's population declined, and with NASCAR's popularity declining, so did Bristol's and every other track. But right now, we're just focusing on Bristol. And so what I'm going to show you now is the amount of fans in each track. So here's the amount of fans at the 2009 day race. As you can see, pretty much every seat sold out. Pretty much you can't see the stands under except for the little, the stand or the stairs, of course. This is the race from 2014, the spring race. Still a decent amount of fans there, a lot, but you're starting to see some of the aluminum stands from underneath pop up, and especially the red on the backstretch. And here's the race from 2019. This one was really bad. As you can see, they had to close off half of the entire track or grandstands, and even the place where they were allowed to sit, aka the front stretch and the back stretch, it's still pretty miserable anyways. Keep in mind, during this time, the night race, which is held in August or September, depending on the year, has been pretty good based on attendance pretty much its entire lifetime. Even to this day, it's still a lot of fans. I went there back in September, just this past year. There are a ton of fans there. They're like 100,000, and that's in 2022. So this is the amount of fans in 2009, which is the same years, 2009, 2014, and 2019. So still a lot of fans at each race. So the night race has been doing good this whole time, but the spring race, on the other hand, it's been on the downhill, But yeah, so they've since the night race has been doing so good, then they've had really no reason to change it, but they have had a reason to change the spring race, which is the whole topic of this whole presentation. And in 2020, we all know that the pandemic hit. We were all there for that. You know what happened. And of course, no one was allowed into the grandstands for COVID, obviously. And they did hold races there still, but just no fans were allowed to attend. But this was a Food City 500 in March of 2020. No fans. But in August, they brought the All-Star race to Bristol. So that means Bristol had 3 dates in 2020, which is pretty unusual for any track, not just Bristol. But it was a weird year anyways. But fun fact, the All-Star race held in August at Bristol was the first a major American sporting event to allow fans back in the stands um, at this capacity or scale. There we go. That's what I was looking for. At this scale. So I believe there are about 30,000 fans there, and I don't have a picture of it, but they still closed off about half the stands, similar to how they did in 2019. But still, that's just pretty cool that they did that in 2020, where fans weren't allowed in pretty much anywhere else, and they was the first ones to be able to allow fans back in. But that's not the focus of this presentation. Right now, we're focusing on spring race. Okay. So, anyways, during this time, during the pandemic, people at Bristol Motor Speedway were, trying to come up with ideas. We need to get the spring race back after COVID ended, of course. We need to bring its popularity back up. We need to try something. Just what's happening now isn't working. And that's whenever they thought up um, the dirt race. That's when the dirt race was born. Why did it do that? There we go. So this is not real, by the way. This is a digital recreation, I guess, and that's just what they planned it to look like. So this actually wasn't the first time that dirt had been laid on Bristol. Fun fact. Back in 2003, they did the same thing, but keep in mind that the top three series of NASCAR, the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series being the biggest, Truck Series being the lowest, um, that none of those three ever raced on this surface. It was just the lower series, like super modified stuff like that. Sprint cars. I don't know if you know what they are, but they're pretty cool. But none of NASCAR raced here, not at all. And this is back in 2003, by the way. So, why is my computer being weird? This is just the dirt race. This is the first time they actually planned for Cup cars, to be honest. So the NASCAR Cup Series and the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series were gonna race the Food City Dirt Race and the Pinty Truck Race on dirt, respectively. So, um, during here we go. The first running of NASCAR Cup cars on dirt since the 1970s went about as well as you could expect. Here you can see the race was just an absolute dust bowl, and it kind of devolved into a wreck fest. As you can see here, that's just what some of the cars look like going around. And the truck race, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race a day prior on Saturday. Actually, yeah, it would have been on Saturday. They just got caked in mud, as you can see here. Pretty bad. The drivers couldn't see. They had to red flag the race. Pretty bad. But despite it looking bad on the surface, those at Speedway Motorsports, which is Bristol Motor Speedway's parent company, they own a bunch of tracks at NASCAR. They and NASCAR were like, let's do it again to see if it gets any better. And there would be three major differences. Right, there we go. So that's just some of the race. The race was going to be held. Three differences would be: the race would be held later in the night. So this was because the temperatures would be cooler, therefore the track surface would be cooler, and that would keep dust from coming up. To keep from cars kicking up dust. The second reason, or second change, would be it was now held on Easter Sunday, which NASCAR hasn't raced on in, I believe it's decades, maybe years, but it's probably been decades. I don't know if they've ever raced on Easter in a very long time. So that was definitely new. And the race before, the race in 2021, was held in March. This next race will be held in April on Easter. And the third change would be the new car coming to all NASCAR, not just the Bristol race. Starting in 2022, this would be the 7th generation of NASCAR Cup cars. It's also called the Next Gen. That's what most people call it. But there are just so many different things different on this car that I can't even go into depth about it. It looks the same on the outside, but on the inside, it's very different. And it is first time NASCAR Cup cars have changed since 2013. That was the Gen 6 era. Gen 6 era was 2013 and 2021. New Gen 7 area would be would be starting in 2022. So, with all that being in place, The race went green on Easter Sunday, April 17th, 2022. As soon as the cars began to rumble around the track, everyone could see that the racing had improved, and this was probably due to multiple things. The race being held later in the day, later in the year, actually, and probably the car had something to do with it too. Like I said, a lot of things were different about that car. I can't even go into depth about it. But unfortunately, with weather in March and April in Tennessee, there was, of course, rain that started to fall, and the race was red flagged. And the race kind of went on and off throughout the rest of the night after it was after the end of stage 2. So that they had the entire third stage to go, and it was just on off racing, just because rain kept coming, and then it went away, then came back, and it was pretty miserable to watch. But there, whenever the race was green, it was still pretty good racing, and everyone could see that 2 drivers were starting to pull away from the rest. These would be Tyler Reddick in the RCR 8 car and Chase Briscoe in the SHR 14 car. Chase Briscoe managed to pass third place of Kyle Busch and started making his way towards the leader, which was Tyler Reddick. Everyone knew that he had to do something in order to pass, and coming to the last lap, he tried something just insane. They were neck and neck coming to the checkered flag, and what Chase Briscoe decided to do to make the pass was this. As you can see, he tries to make a pass down low, doesn't make it stick, slides up the racetrack, crashes into a car of Tyler Reddick. Very unfortunate because Tyler was looking for his first win. Very sad there. He'd been in the Cup Series for, I think, 3 years at the time. Still was looking for his first win. And, of course, rowdy Kyle Busch from third place, which Chase Briscoe passed earlier, came up, passed him, just barely. If Tyler Reddick had gotten just a little bit sooner, he probably would have gotten the win. But, unfortunately, Kyle Busch got it. And this would be his last win of the 2022 season, and his last win with his team that he had been with forever, that being Joe Gibbs Racing. With one of the best finishes of the 2022 season now done, soon after the lights turned off and the dust settled, NASCAR and SMI decided to bring the dirt race back for 2023. They brought the race back, and some people weren't happy. A lot were kind of excited, I guess. They weren't really sure. They just wanted to see how it would go. And as for attendance, the 2021 race, despite being flooded, yes, the outside of the track did flood. Pretty deep there. That's probably about maybe a foot of water, I'd say. And you can see the outside of the track. Despite the race being flooded, so it was delayed to Monday when it's supposed to be held on Sunday. And despite it being flooded and COVID restrictions, that too, it was still able to beat the 2019 Food City 500, which is still just looking at it, just looks ugly. But yeah, there's the 2019 concrete race. Here's the 2021 dirt race. And of course, 2019 was before COVID, obviously. And this is during COVID. Still had more people. That's pretty crazy. And for 2022, it had the highest attendance of all 3 dirt races that we've had so far. It doesn't look like nearly that much on this, just because Bristol has such a high capacity that the fans are so spread out. Like I said, it has a capacity of about 150, 160,000. That's a lot. And I don't want to judge how many people are in this stands, but I'd say 60,000, 50,000, something like that. It's still a lot of fans, by the way. Like I said, NFL stadiums have capacity about 60,000. So that's as many fans going to a NASCAR race as an NFL game. Pretty good. Like I said, this was the highest of the 3 dirt races that we've had. And on the front stretch, where the finish line is. It was nearly sold out for most of it. And fast forward. Wait, no, not after that. So unfortunately, during the 2022 dirt race, as I said, rain started to fall. Many left the track, including myself, as I was there. This is my first ever NASCAR race. Most people left, head back to their cars to go home because they didn't want to sit in the rain, which I don't blame them. But that means not that many got to see the finish, and you could definitely see that on TV, and there are not that many fans left. Fast forward 357 days, and you have the 2023 running of the Food City Dirt Race, held on April 9th, 2023. I also went to this one. It's really unfortunate because this isn't the start of the race here, but it was soon before the green flag move. There were not as many fans here as there were in the 2022 dirt race. And it's really unfortunate because they had some really awesome racing here. Being there in person obviously made it a little bit better, but even on TV, I watched almost the whole race on TV too. It was just really good racing, like almost as good as regular Bristol. But still, some people were mad at it just because it's not regular Bristol. Pretty infuriating. However, like I said, very good racing all throughout the race, and the rain actually held off all race long, which was pretty good, and it was good temperature all night too. Um, that was the first time a Bristol spring race wasn't affected by rain, either being delayed to the next Monday or just being delayed by a few hours, anything like that. That was the first time Bristol spring race wasn't affected since 2016. That is 7 years ago. That is insane. But yeah, not much left to do. It was a pretty good race, I must say. Christopher Bell brought home the checkered, and he was actually the first dirt, like actual dirt professional racer to win the Bristol dirt race, which is kind of funny. It was Joey Logano and Kyle Busch before that, which neither of them are experienced on dirt. Christopher Bell being the first actual dirt racer. And of course, Tyler Reddick in the 45, not the 8 this time. Tyler Reddick came home second once again. Very heartbreaking for him. Very unfortunate for the second year in a row, too. It's just really unfortunate. And with all that being said, it's been 5 weeks since the race, and there's still been no word on if we're gonna have it back, really. Epic voice crack there. Most people, including myself, think that the racing was awesome, and it really was. It was really good racing. Like you could definitely see them sliding up on each other. I don't even know how to explain it. You just have to watch it. I'm not gonna make you do anything though. Excuse me. It's just a lot of people just don't like the dirt race, and that's just because it's not regular Bristol, you know. It's not the concrete that so many are used to. And a lot of fans, especially NASCAR fans here in the South, you know, they just don't like change. They want to keep what they have, not get any bigger, not get any smaller. And just no one wanted to see the dirt race anymore. And like I said, it's been 5 weeks, over 5 weeks since the dirt race. And NASCAR, Bristol Motor Speedway, or Speedway Motorsports, none of them have announced if the dirt race is coming back, which has led many, including myself, to speculate that they're done. I think that they are going to go back to the regular concrete that they've had for so long. Like I said, the race in September, it's been concrete this whole time. It's never changed. What they do is they put it down in about January. As soon as the dirt race is done, they pull it back up and run the concrete race later in the year. Then they just slap it on again, pull it off, you know, on off, on off, on off. So the September race has been out on concrete this whole time, and fans have been happy about that. Like I said, there were over 100,000 fans in attendance this past 2022 race, which is really good. Like that's really good for NASCAR, especially in Bristol. And but I just really don't see the dirt race coming back. So many want the old concrete back, and it also you have to also take into account the money and time it takes to actually put the dirt on the track, make sure that's moisturized for the race, make sure you get everything just perfect. And with concrete, you just don't have to do that. So that's really it. I don't think that it's coming back. And that's been the whole point of this, is just to see if the dirt race is coming back or if it's gonna stay concrete. And I think it's staying concrete. And with that being said, that's the end of it. Thank you. Here are my sources: WJHL.com, NASCAR.com, NBCSports.com, BristolMotorspeedway.com, and my own experiences at the race. Very wonderful. Thank you very much, Miss Leonard. And now I'm going to close myself off.